Welcome to day 142. My name is Reverend Maria Arvanatides, enjoying the first few days and weeks of autumn equinox and moving forward into the autumn, the falling of the deciduous leaves from the trees. And as you notice in the background, these few pages, 399 and 40 of 852 from my novel, TheSovereignLight, named after my ministry, a course in metaphysical spirituality. And from the 319 lessons, welcome to lesson 124. Your presence is valued and appreciated. However, you must be 100% here and disengage from all the other distractions. Find a comfortable space where you can find yourself in a comfortable position and put down all devices and here we go in this moment to be here and present in a heart-centered space. So take a few deep breaths in and out, and keep breathing into surrendered trust. And leverage out the depth of this expansion through your breathing and how much you can trust to breathe in deeper in a way that normally would come in as a sigh. In this moment, present, no worries to be found of what's to come or expect. So you can opt to have your eyes closed or open. And today's affirmation to activate and filter through this perspective. I reclaim my sovereign light, and from this life force, that I may value its essence, to reveal the many layers of my authenticity. I reclaim my sovereign light, and from this life force, that I may value its essence, to reveal the many layers of my authenticity. I reclaim my sovereign light, and from this life force, that I may value its essence, to reveal the many layers of my authenticity. I reclaim my sovereign light, and from this life force, that I may value its essence, to reveal the many layers of my authenticity. The essence comes from life force. This is where the momentum of the soul can teach its value to the self, and of how not to become forsaken, to give up the self and make it secondary in replacement for its environment, and amongst the many is to give it up to compromise. What is suffering but a habit-forming entity to be in a state of codependency and as a self-sacrifice for the greater good? I had an interesting conversation today. Just now, I spent like a half hour talking to a vegan woman who's been a vegan, and she's an activist. She's gonna contact me, and I made a new friend. And so she was telling me about how even cheese can be an addiction, and really informing me on things that I never did know before, including diabetes, that it's an onset from eating meat, and not what I thought was the cause before, with starches and sugars, and so it was very interesting. And why I'm referring to this is because it has a lot to do with revelation and the suffering that eating meat can bring on into the reality of living in an awareness where death is a part of, while we continue to consume flesh. and I said, well, I'm still working through this eating disorder that I have, and it's like, wow, I'm still in college while you're in a university level here. And so maybe she's gonna give me some more information and help me to see things a little better. And so as we continue on, page 339 and going on to 400 now, almost halfway through this book. It's a novel. The threat of the unknown can be unstable to the self, who hasn't learned to trust in its sufficiency and to overcome for any situation. The lack of self-connection can tempt the self to sabotage, that it may be in control over the given unknown and unstable situation. When something feels like a sacrifice, and in essence it's contrary belief, not in the best interest of relating with, to continue on with the experience and for any longer than that moment that it has taken from as a lesson, it's going against its life force and becomes a sacrifice. The conflict will not be of a great service to carry on mindlessly and by keeping busy, doing as the work had intended.
Kind of like for girl things. Girl things, really?
It might have been a dream that the self,
Matthew, I like pink, right? Well, you said that
once it could relate to and co-creating with the best of them, Or rather, now, how does it feel? Is it in the best interest for the self to carry on with the past dream and as the primary for its momentum? Perhaps now it even might rather the reflection of another's essence. Could it be that the past and future are one and the same, changeable in the here and now moment? I reclaim my sovereign light. And from this life force, that I may value its essence, to reveal the many layers of my authenticity. From the collective interpretation that no longer has the best interest for the self. Does it keep going in a mindless effort to exist, and in this way of coping, does it not learn when to move on? Do not resist, but just acknowledge. And throughout the day, these energetic hooks from a level of discernment. In the same way that the self could find the effort to compromise for another and or for any common goal. Rather, take a different stance of interconnection. And from a place of love. See it truly for the temporary and transient echo flowing through as correspondence, respectfully leaving. Just passing through in the minor details that create the tapestry, and that the self in its experience to its awareness. See the gifts from these interactions and how they would much rather to resist in accepting from before. The mind resists the gifts of truth because of made-up ones instead. It's substituted for them, and in their distortions to be compromised by the very same power it had given away.
No, this shot will be good.
These timeless gifts of truth, inherited and passed into eternity, the self need not wait to have them. I reclaim my sovereign light, and from this life force, that I may value its essence, to reveal the many layers of my authenticity. The gifts that the self need only to look within to find and have them now is a choice to be aware of, and in the place of what the mind has made. Practice the following through and this thought, and verbally activate its meaning as often as possible. The truth will set me free. Joy and peace are mine. And let this be a supportive statement to the activation for today. Other goals and gifts made of illusions are partial into duality. Seek not the gender-bending roles they play in lack.
I work there, not far from here. I work there. Every day I come here, exercise, rollerblade.
Rather to clear out the space within the mind and before the purity of truth, that all things do energetically unite into the one of infinite intent. Welcome these gifts of joy and peace, and in full awareness to cooperate with all of life from self-expression, in full confidence to this intent that nothing else can be of spark and that could belong as truth than love here and now. Joy and peace belongs to all expressions of life, and so too must the self not allow to lose sight of this eternity. Bring this reminder to its mind, and as often with the following to support today's affirmation. These gifts of joy and peace are all I wish for. And the purpose is to reconnect with that of inner joy and peace. And I will leave you with today's affirmation and how it would be to use the other statements to reaffirm and support this throughout the day. I reclaim my sovereign light, and from this life force that I may value its essence, to reveal the many layers of my authenticity. The truth will set me free. Joy and peace are mine. These gifts of joy and peace are all I wish for. And slowly start to come around. Blink your eyes open if you haven't already, with a few deep breaths in and out. Start to acknowledge all the noise and sights of the background, engagements and activities. And come back to your surroundings and the public and the background people and noise. And just remember to reclaim your sovereign light from this breath that creates this life force, and that you value its essence to reveal the many layers of your authenticity. And just see what you can get that will receive into your awareness and become your truth. Thank you so very much. Bye-bye now.